All right, let's jump right in. We're living in this age of just incredible technological change where it feels like everything is being automated. But here's the thing, when it comes to a company's success, technology isn't actually the final answer. It sets the stage, for sure. But the real, lasting competitive advantage, that comes down to people, to us, and the skills we bring to the table. And right now, in the world of sales, there's a huge gap between the skills companies need and the skills people actually have.
Take a look at this number, 90%. What could that possibly be? Well, this huge number points to a massive problem that's affecting pretty much every sales organization on the entire planet. That's right. 9 out of 10 companies say they're dealing with a sales skills gap right now. And this isn't just some temporary blip. A staggering 85% of them expect this gap to stick around for at least the next 3 years. So we're not talking about a small crack in the foundation here. This is a major structural issue. Okay, now let's zoom in a little bit, from the company level to the teams themselves. And for that, we have our next number, 29%. What this tells us is that, on average, nearly a third of any given sales team just isn't equipped to do their job effectively in today's market. So the big question is, how did we get here? How did so many sales teams fall so far behind? Well, the root cause is this fundamental shift in power. You see, the whole relationship between the buyer and the seller has been completely turned on its head. Salespeople used to be the gatekeepers of information, but now their role has to be something totally different. They need to be guides. And this really illustrates that change perfectly. I mean, not that long ago, salespeople held all the cards, all the product info, the pricing, everything. You had to talk to them. But now, thanks to the internet, buyers are basically experts before they even pick up the phone. They've done their research, they've read the reviews, they've compared all the options. The power has completely shifted. And this power shift created a kind of domino effect. The number one reason companies give for this skills gap is that the sales process is just way more complex now. Right behind that is changing customer behaviors and, of course, the rapid digitalization of sales. These three forces, all kicked off by that newly empowered buyer, have totally reshaped the landscape. And the data here really paints a clear picture of just how complicated things have gotten. For starters, sales cycles are taking 24% longer than they did just a few years ago. And get this, the average B2B deal now involves about 11 different stakeholders. That's more than double what it was just 5 years ago. This means salespeople need a whole new set of skills to handle these deals and build trust through digital channels. So, if the old skills just don't cut it anymore, what are the new skills that companies are so desperately looking for? Well, the research points to 3 major gaps in the modern sales team's toolkit. Research shows the 3 biggest holes are value-based selling, that's all about connecting your product to the customer's actual business outcomes. Then there's social selling, which is using social media to find and engage with prospects. And finally, lead generation, the nuts and bolts of attracting new customers. Companies know they need these skills, but their teams just aren't there yet. But among those top 3, there is one skill that leaders are prioritizing far, far above all the others. One skill they see as absolutely critical for their survival and their success. And that skill is value-based selling. An absolutely overwhelming 85% of leaders say this is their number one critical priority. It's not even close. And this isn't about selling a product's features anymore. It's about understanding a customer's business so deeply that you can actually prove how your solution is going to directly impact their bottom line. That, right there, is the new gold standard. Okay, so the problem is clear. The gap is real. What are companies doing about it? Well, the first and most logical solution is to look inward and invest in the people they already have. To get a sense of just how huge this challenge is, look at this number from McKinsey. By 2030, as many as 375 million workers around the world might need to learn entirely new skills or even switch jobs completely. This isn't just a sales problem. This is a global workforce transformation. So, in response, the smartest companies are getting way ahead of the curve. They are launching these massive internal training programs. We're talking upskilling and reskilling, all designed to close their specific gaps and get their teams ready for whatever is coming next. And they see this as a matter of survival. 2/3 of companies believe that reskilling their current sales team is absolutely critical if they want to stay competitive over the next 3 years. It's not a nice to have anymore, it's a must-do. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of why this matters so much. Think about it. Anyone can copy your product, they can copy your factory, but what they can't copy is your people. A highly skilled, dedicated team, that's the ultimate competitive advantage. But building that team isn't just about training, it's also about hiring, which brings us to a whole other massive challenge.
And that brings us to the second major hurdle, finding new talent. Because if you can't build all the skills you need internally, you have to go out and hire them. But that's proving to be a huge problem in its own right.
It's the essential question every single sales leader is asking themselves right now. Where do we find the people who already have these complex consultative skills we need? Well, the reality is it's harder than ever. A whopping 87% of companies are struggling to attract the talent they need. And why is that? Well, for one, these new complex sales roles aren't just competing with other sales jobs. They're going head-to-head with high-level advisory and consultancy roles. It's a full-on battle for the brains. And to make matters worse, the next generation of workers isn't exactly lining up for a career in sales. This right here is truly shocking. For people between the ages of 18 and 25, the job title sales representative doesn't even crack the top 10 most popular careers. It actually ranks lower than administrative jobs. That just reveals a massive perception problem that the entire industry needs to figure out how to solve. So, this is where we land. We know the skills gap is real. We know the buyer has completely changed the game. And we know that your team is your single greatest asset. So the only question left is, what's your plan? How are you going to build a sales team that isn't just ready for today, but is built to win tomorrow?